In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 NHL games happening on December 9th, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 NHL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Anaheim Ducks versus Pittsburgh Penguins. Anaheim and Pittsburgh meet on Tuesday night in what feels like one of those matchups that sneaks up as a measuring stick game. Both teams came into the year with very different expectations, yet here we are talking about the Ducks as Pacific leaders with 37 points and a coach whose first season in charge already has a bit of a story arc. They are scoring at 3.59 goals per game, which is wild considering their power play sits in the middle of the pack at 18.8%, so most of that damage is happening at 5-on-5. That kind of profile usually belongs to a team that knows how to roll 4 lines, get the puck back, and live in the offensive zone rather than just waiting for whistles and man advantages. On the other side, Pittsburgh's 14-7-6 record looks a lot better than what people expected when the season opened. They are coming off a 3-game road swing and head back home at a solid 6-4-2 mark in their own building. One interesting wrinkle is Tristan Jarry. If he does get the nod again, it would be his 7th straight start in net, and even elite goalies start to feel that workload a little, especially when the schedule piles up around early December travel and holiday distractions. Fatigue does not always show up as a horrible stat line either. Sometimes it is a half step late on a screen, a rebound that is not swallowed, or a puck that sneaks through traffic that he normally tracks cleanly. Pittsburgh's biggest weapon is very clear. That power play clipping along at 33.3% is no joke. It is the kind of number that makes penalty killing units nervous before the puck even drops. The flip side is that when a team leans too hard on special teams, it sometimes covers up 5-on-5 issues that only get exposed when the whistles go away. Anaheim has been the better 5-on-5 club and has shown that it can generate offense in different ways, from volume shooting to quick strike chances. When you put that next to a possibly overworked goalie and a Penguins group that might be slightly inflated by power play success, the scales tilt toward the visiting side. Over 3 periods, the Ducks' even strength edge and current form make them more likely to come out ahead on the money line. As our first pick for this matchup, the Anaheim Ducks money line is our full game side pick. Both offenses bring real punch, and that is not just on paper. Anaheim is coming off a 7-1 thrashing of Chicago on December 7th, a game where it threw 53 shots on net and looked like a team that, frankly, enjoys turning games into track meets. That helps explain why it sits second in the league at around 3.6 goals per game. Pittsburgh is not far behind at 3.2 goals per game, and that top power play, now noted at 34.4%, is exactly the kind of unit that punishes lazy sticks and tired legs. Anaheim's penalty kill sitting at 75.3% does not exactly scream safe, especially against a power play this sharp. Even if the Ducks carry the better 5-on-5 play, a couple of penalties in bad spots can flip a relatively normal game into a goal fest pretty quickly. You can almost picture it: a tight second period, then one careless hook, one delay of game puck over glass, and suddenly the scoreboard starts to light up. The recent form backs that picture up. Anaheim has gone over 6.5 goals in 4 of its last 5, and Pittsburgh has gone over that same number in 3 of its last 5. Their combined season scoring sits at 6.64 goals per game, and their previous meeting this season finished with 7 goals, which fits right into that pattern. There is always a chance that a hot goalie or a weird whistle pattern slows everything down, but with both teams comfortable pushing pace, trading chances, and occasionally losing their defensive structure for a stretch, the more natural script is another high-event game. The mix of Anaheim's shot volume, Pittsburgh's special teams punch, and both teams' recent trend of games landing above 6.5 sets a clear expectation for a total that leans on the higher side. In a matchup like this, the safer assumption is that the offense will keep shining longer than the defensive systems will hold. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. San Jose Sharks versus Philadelphia Flyers. Philadelphia comes into this matchup with only one more win than San Jose, so on paper the gap looks small. That said, the way those wins are distributed tells a different story. The Flyers have 9 victories at home, 9 victories on the road, which suggests they are very comfortable in their own building, while the Sharks have managed only 5 wins on the road, which hints at some real travel trouble. Layer on the schedule and it gets even more interesting. Philadelphia is playing its 4th straight game at home, which usually means familiar routines, last change, and a little extra jump from the crowd. San Jose, on the other hand, is on its 3rd straight road game, and anyone who has done a long work trip knows how that grind starts to chip away at energy, even if you are saying all the right things in interviews. Recent form nudges things toward the Flyers too. They are on a 4-2-0 run in their last 6 games, which is not perfect, but it is solid. The Sharks are sitting at 1-2-0 in their last 3, so they have shown flashes, but not much consistency. That contrast is not massive, but it matters when you stack it on top of the travel and venue edge. Defensively, Philadelphia has a very clear identity. They give up only 2.8 goals per game and rank 6th in shots against at 26.2 per game, and that type of disciplined shot suppression usually reflects a team that trusts its structure and its goaltending. Their penalty kill sits at 82.1%, which has been good enough to keep them alive in tight games where one mistake can swing everything. You could see that defensive backbone in their 3-2 loss to Colorado on December 7th. They did not get the result, but they pushed one of the league's top teams to the edge, with Sean Couturier and Travis Konechny both finding the net and the group hanging around right until the end. That kind of performance in a loss often tells you more than a blowout win against a weaker side. On the offensive side, the Flyers are not exactly a buzzsaw, but they have timely weapons. Trevor Zegras and Matvei Mitkov bring enough skill to punish mistakes, which pairs nicely with that conservative defensive base. When a team can stay patient, wait for turnovers, and then let creative forwards go to work, it is the hockey version of counter-punching in boxing, not flashy every night, but very effective when the game stays tight. San Jose has its own star power with Macklin Celebrini, who has been a real bright spot and just drove a 4-1 win over Carolina on December 7th. The problem is what happens around him. The Sharks average only 2.8 goals per game and sit dead last in shots at 24 per game, so even when the top guy is rolling, the team as a whole struggles to mount steady pressure. Defensively, the Sharks invite a lot of trouble. They allow 31.4 shots per game, which is among the worst figures in the league, and while their penalty kill at 80% is decent, that many shots against eventually exposes the goaltending. It is a bit like working customer support with lines out the door. Even if you are good, the sheer volume pulls your numbers down. So when you match a shot-suppressing, home ice-friendly Flyers team against a Sharks squad that gives up a lot of looks and is stuck on a road swing, the balance tilts. It is not a blowout on paper situation, but Philadelphia looks more likely to handle this spot and protect its own rink. As our first pick for this matchup, the Philadelphia Flyers money line is our full game side pick. Both clubs have had trouble generating steady offense, even if they arrive there in slightly different ways. San Jose sits at just 2.8 goals per game and, more telling, ranks last in the league in shots with only 24 per game, which makes it very hard to sustain pressure. Even when they beat Carolina 4-1 on December 7th with Celebrini carrying the attack, it felt more like a standout performance than a new normal. Philadelphia does not exactly light it up either. They also average 2.8 goals per game, and while that is perfectly respectable, it is not the profile of a team that drags games into wild, back-and-forth shootouts. What really shapes the total, though, is their defense. Allowing just 2.8 goals per game and ranking 6th in shots against at 26.2 per game, with that 82.1% penalty kill as a safety net, they naturally pull contests into a lower event, more controlled style. Their 3-2 loss to Colorado on December 7th is a good example. Facing a high-powered offense, they still kept the final score in a modest range, and even that came with the usual tight margins and small swings. When a team consistently holds strong opponents to 3 or fewer, it tells you a lot about the likely ceiling in more ordinary matchups. San Jose's shot volume and overall approach feed into that, with the Sharks struggling to generate many attempts and the Flyers actively limiting what gets through. The game script leans toward long stretches of controlled play in the neutral zone, plenty of dump and chase, and not a ton of clean rush chances. You might see the occasional burst, but the underlying numbers suggest more grinding than trading chances. Here is the thing, when both sides are more comfortable in structured, low-event hockey and neither has deep, explosive scoring beyond a few key names, totals tend to stay depressed. penalty kills that are at least competent on both sides, plus a Flyers defense that shrinks space, point toward a night where each goal feels earned rather than inevitable. Put together, that makes a strong case for a game that lands under the projected total rather than blowing past it. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Vegas Golden Knights versus New York Islanders. Vegas heads to UBS Arena to face the Islanders, and it has that sneaky measuring stick feel written all over it. Vegas is rolling right now, sure, but there is still that nagging question of whether this hot stretch is real progress or a bit of a mirage dressed up as momentum. Let me explain. A 4-game winning streak looks great on the scoreboard, but this spot on the road, in a loud building, against a structured team, is where you usually find out what is underneath the recent results. The Golden Knights come in trying to stretch that streak, and they have allowed only 2 total goals across their last 2 games, which feels very much like the version of Vegas people expected earlier in the season. On the road, they sit at 7-2-4, so they clearly travel well and do not fold when they leave their own building. That road stability matters here, because it keeps you from blindly fading them just because they are away from home. New York, on the other side, has quietly put together a decent little run, winning 3 of their last 4, even though the most recent road loss to Florida is still in the rearview mirror for anyone who watched it. At home, they are 7-6-2, which is not dominant, but it is steady enough to feel like they know how to use their own ice, their own boards, and their own rhythm. The more interesting piece is in goal, where it feels like the Islanders hold the edge regardless of who starts for Vegas, and that sort of perceived advantage often gives a home team just enough confidence to lean into a tighter, more patient game. Honestly, if you are trying to figure out which side is more likely to come through, this sets up as a very real test of whether Vegas has truly gotten back on track, or if the recent surge is a bit of fool's gold, while New York plays the role of the stubborn home team that does not do anything flashy but keeps hanging around. The Islanders' recent form, their goaltending edge, and their comfort on home ice together create a reasonable argument that they can handle the pressure of this spot, even against a hot opponent. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Islanders' money line is our full game side pick. Vegas, as mentioned, has given up just 2 goals across its last 2 outings, which signals a group that is defending well, getting saves, and not giving up a lot of second chances in front of the net. That kind of recent form usually drags totals down, even when the opponent has some offensive talent on paper. The Golden Knights have also gone under 5.5 goals in 3 of their last 5 games, which hints at a pattern of tighter contests rather than wide-open track meets. Sometimes that is system-driven, sometimes it is just a function of game state, but either way it tells you that their recent games have not turned into scoring explosions. On the Islanders' side, things look even more tilted toward a lower scoring environment. They have won 3 of their last 4, but they have also scored 2 goals or fewer in 4 of their last 5, which is a funny combination of getting results while not exactly lighting up the scoreboard. That sort of production keeps you on the edge of your seat, but it also naturally pulls totals down because you are living in that 2-1, 3-2 type range rather than 5-4 thrillers. New York has gone under 5.5 goals in 4 of those last 5 games, which lines up almost perfectly with what you see from their offense. They grind, they defend, and they do not always finish their chances. Here is the thing, when you put a disciplined Vegas team that has clamped down lately together with an Islanders team that struggles to score but still competes hard, you usually get a game that feels like a chess match more than a track meet. The numbers from both sides point in the same direction, toward a tighter, more controlled pace where every mistake feels huge and the scoreboard does not race ahead. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. New Jersey Devils versus Ottawa Senators. The New Jersey Devils head into the Canadian Tire Center on Tuesday, December 9th, trying to snap a rough patch, a 5-game skid with only 7 goals to show for it, most recently a 4-1 loss to Boston on December 7th. It looks ugly on the surface, and honestly, it feels even worse if you have backed them during that stretch. Here is the thing, the process still looks much better than the results. New Jersey is firing 29.3 shots per game, which sits 9th in the league, and they are clicking at 23.6% on the power play, which is 8th. That combination usually does not stay cold for long, especially for a group that still leans on high-end skill rather than just grinding games out. When a team keeps generating that sort of volume, it often comes down to puck luck and finishing, not some sudden collapse in talent. Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt continue to drive the attack, and Timo Meier is the type of streaky scorer who can flip a game in one night when he finally sees one go in. Against Ottawa, that matters a bit more than usual because the Senators' penalty kill sits at a shaky 68.8%, last in the league, and that is exactly the kind of weakness a skilled power play can expose. If you imagine a couple of early penalties in front of a restless home crowd, you can almost feel the tension creeping into Ottawa's bench. On the defensive side, the picture tilts slightly toward New Jersey as well. The Devils allow 3.0 goals per game, which edges out Ottawa's 3.3, and their penalty kill at 80.8% gives them a clear cushion when things get messy. Ottawa does win a ton of faceoffs at 57.2%, the best mark in the league, and that does help them control pockets of play, especially at home. But that advantage keeps getting undercut by their inability to get critical stops on the kill, something that showed up again in their 2-1 loss to St. Louis on December 6th. The Senators are still getting some respect here simply because they are on home ice, which is understandable. Travel, last change, and routine all lean their way a bit. Yet they have dropped 4 of their last 5, and their offense goes quiet in stretches that feel longer than they look on paper. New Jersey, even with this current slide, has been the better team over the larger sample and has taken 6 of the last 9 meetings with Ottawa, often lighting them up in those matchups. The Devils have also been the more profitable side this season, while backing the Senators has not exactly felt like a smart long-term strategy. Put all that together, and the matchup still leans toward New Jersey being more likely to cash the side. As our first pick for this matchup, the New Jersey Devils money line is our full game side pick. New Jersey has lost 5 straight with just 7 total goals, finishing with that 4-1 defeat to Boston on December 7th, so their attack has been more frustrated than free-flowing. Ottawa comes in off a 2-1 loss to St. Louis on December 6th, and while they average 3.1 goals per game on the season, their scoring has been patchy whenever they run into more structured defending. It is that familiar story where the numbers say this team can score, but recent games feel more like they are banging their heads against a wall. The Devils still put 29.3 shots on net per night, which shows the offense is not completely broken, but their inability to convert chances has dragged every game into tighter margins. On the other side, Ottawa's penalty kill is a mess, but their overall defensive structure at even strength does one thing very well: limit volume. They allow only 25.6 shots per game, 4th fewest in the league, which means there may not be a constant barrage in this one, even if it feels like both teams are fighting to find some rhythm. When you combine a shot-suppressing team with an opponent that is struggling to finish, you often end up with long stretches of cautious, low-event hockey. Both clubs are searching for consistency right now, not trading chances in some wide-open track meet. The recent results point toward tighter, lower-scoring contests rather than wild swings, and neither side is coming in with the sort of offensive confidence that usually drives big totals. With the Devils misfiring despite strong shot metrics and the Senators balancing a weak penalty kill with strong shot suppression, the most reasonable expectation here is a game that stays on the lower side of the scoring spectrum. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Tampa Bay Lightning versus Montreal Canadiens. Honestly, this matchup at the Bell Center feels like 2 teams pulling in opposite directions, even if their names carry very different weight right now. Tampa Bay still profiles as the stronger roster top to bottom, and they have taken 7 of the last 10 meetings from Montreal, which hints at a real matchup comfort level. That kind of short-term history is not everything, but it does matter when you are trying to guess which side actually feels in control the moment the puck drops. Here is the thing, though, the recent form tilts away from the name brand. The Lightning roll into this one on a 4-game skid, and it is not just that they are losing, it is how they are losing. They have been shut out in back-to-back games, which is not what you expect from a team that usually lives off its scoring talent. When a group like that suddenly struggles to find the back of the net, you can almost feel the frustration building shift by shift, like when a normally reliable app keeps freezing on you for no clear reason. Montreal, on the other hand, is not exactly steamrolling the league, but they are hanging in there. They have picked up points in 6 of their last 10, which is just good enough to keep belief intact in that room. More important, they have had stretches lately where the offense actually looks dangerous, not just hopeful. For a young team in a loud building like the Bell Center, that little bit of swagger matters. You can imagine a quick early goal turning the crowd into a real factor, especially against a team already pressing to score. So while the Lightning carry the reputation and the head-to-head edge, the current groove favors the Canadiens, especially with Tampa Bay searching for answers and Montreal looking a bit more comfortable in their own skin. When the supposedly better team is stuck in neutral and the underdog is at least generating momentum, the safer side can tilt toward the home club that is not gripping the stick quite as tight. As our first pick for this matchup, the Montreal Canadiens money line is our full game side pick. Tampa Bay is coming off a 2-0 loss to Toronto on December 8th, which capped a stretch of 4 straight defeats with only 4 total goals scored in that entire run. For a team that usually leans on its offense, that is a cold spell that feels like it needs a space heater. When a group that's skilled goes that quiet, you often see them simplify their game, play safer, and lean more on structure while they work through it. Montreal is not peppering goalies with rubber either. Their offense can look sharp in spurts and they average 3.2 goals per game, but they do it on only 25.3 shots per game, which sits way down at 29th in the league. That is a classic, make the most of fewer chances profile. It can be fun when it works, but it also means that on a night where the bounces go a bit sideways, the scoring can dry up in a hurry because there just are not many looks to begin with. Now add Tampa Bay's defensive backbone into that picture. They are allowing only 2.6 goals per game, which is top-tier work, and the penalty kill is sitting at an impressive 87.0%, good for second in the league. That kind of kill rate can choke off one of Montreal's best chances to juice the scoreboard, which is special teams in a noisy home game. If the Lightning keep things tight in their own zone and keep Montreal's power play from doing damage, long stretches of this game can turn into careful, low-risk hockey. Put that all together and you have one team that is struggling badly to score, another that leans on efficiency over volume, and a defensive unit on Tampa Bay that is still doing its job at a high level. Montreal's occasional lapses in their own end can add some chaos, but if Tampa Bay continues to have trouble finishing, those mistakes may not fully punish the total. The mix points more toward a controlled, lower event game where scoring chances matter a lot because there simply are not that many of them. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.